morning looking at the issue of business unity in this country. The Black Management Forum wants formal negotiations on creating a single unified body to start among South Africa's business organizations. Apparently, everyone across the board seems to agree and welcome the initiative by the Black Management Forum in this regard. Now, this call comes after about 2 years after the BMF under the then president, Jimmy Manyi, walked out of Business Unity South Africa, saying the organization was a flawed structure that outnumbered and suppressed the black business voice. Let's talk about this new initiative now of negotiations to create a single body. On the line, we have Mr. Bonang Mohale. He is the Black Management Forum president. He's also the Shell SA chairman, but of course in his capacity here as BMF president.
Let me start first by giving you 3 reasons why we at the BMF believe that a united voice for business is important.
Yeah.
Number one, because business has demonstrated in the past that they could defeat the might of apartheid. Remember, it was business that defied P.W. Botha and went and met with the ANC in Lusaka against the instructions of P.W. Botha at that time. And business continued to play a role during the peace accord when we were killing each other and we were talking about black-on-black violence. People like John Hall really played a critical role. Third thing that business did was to give us a resounding yes victory during the referendum when we were preparing for this democracy. So business was very active. That's number one. Number two, it's because this was a direct request by a sitting president at that time, President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, who gave us Deputy President Thabo Mbeki at that time. We went to Skukuza, mapped out the way forward with 127 business organizations. The next weekend, we went to Mopane, where the Mopane Memorandum of Understanding was crafted about business unity. That's how BUSA was formed. Therefore, it's no accident that the first 2 managing directors of BUSA actually came from the BMF in the names of Mr. Bheki Sibiya and Mr. Jerry Vilakazi. And then lastly, it's manifestly in business interest to be united, because if business chooses not to be united, business will be marginalizing itself. In a sense, it will be rendering itself irrelevant and ineffectual. Part of the formal negotiations with BUSA and other business organizations is to take the 10-pager letter that was written by BMF at that time, adopted by BBC, to say every single solitary one of the legitimate concerns raised by black business ought to be addressed to their satisfaction before we move forward. That is part of the process. But let me also say, the reason why this democracy has worked, and we call it a miracle, is because all of us came to the negotiating table quite prepared to give up something. I'm just saying there were legitimate concerns that led to black business pulling out. One of them, for instance, it is our own making as black business. Because we went to BUSA, we were the midwives, and indeed the secretariat that gave birth to BUSA. And then for some obscure and opaque reason, we then decided to dissolve the Black Business Council, when in essence, white formations continued, therefore organized, they could lobby, they could focus on research and development, and therefore black business had no voice. So we are on record as saying, as the BMF, we are committed to 2 things: to the Black Business Council, because there's a need for it. It should never have been dissolved in the first place. Secondly, we are committed to business unity in general.